Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. Yeah, I couldn't wait. I watched Mob Psycho late last week when I got off work. I freaking loved it. And so the first episode's supposed to come out on Patreon this weekend. And I got off work today and I was like, maybe my post-work ritual, if I'm having a really stressful day, is to sit down and watch Mob Psycho. Because I will relate to Reigen Arataka on a spiritual level. That's where I'm at right now. Because, man, episode 1 was so fresh and fun and hilarious. I really got a kick out of it. And I was like, if that's what I have to look forward to in this season, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I know everybody on the Discord for Patreon was really excited that I'm starting Mob Psycho. So yeah, I got off work today and I was like, it's been really stressful. And I'm like, you know what? Nah, I'm going to watch Mob Psycho. So it may be my post-stressful day at work ritual now to watch an episode of Mob Psycho. And then if any comments come out that I feel like noting it, I'll probably do that in a future episode, but we'll see. As of this series, though, please no spoilers, no hints or clues what's to come. I know season 3 is about to come out. I don't want to be like, oh, don't worry, this will happen. Like, don't do that. Like, I have a community post about spoilers. I'm going to link down below in episode 1 about my spoiler thing for community post and all that. But I don't want any spoilers or anything like that. So, but this series is so much fun. Reigen is a trash king. I love him. Mob is the most precious and he needs to be protected. In the Discord, when I was telling them I was starting the series and they were like, what are your impressions? I'm like, well, Reigen is such a sham and I love him, and Mob seems so innocent. And someone shared in the Discord a thing on Twitter and it was like reviews of plushes, and like the Mob one, it's like the most precious thing. It's like my angel son, he's golden, I love him, he's the most valuable thing in the world. And then all of the Reigen ones, people have used them as like dog toys and like put them down the toilet and stuff and just trashed them. It was really funny. I got a big kick out of that, so thank you. I think it was the food truck that put that on Discord, but hilarious. So yeah, I'm all excited to see. I want to know how Reigen and Mob met and how the whole psychic thing came to be. I'm assuming at some point we're going to find that out and get backstory. I don't want to know when. I don't want to know if we do or not, but I'm sure that it's going to happen down the pipeway. So I'm curious about that. But yeah, I'm excited, y'all. I'm ready to see what all happens in this episode of Mob Psycho and go from there. So we are going to start episode 2 of Mob Psycho 100. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. That was wonderful. That was a great subversion and bait and switch, because you think that Mob's going to join the Telepathy Club. Nah, he joined the Body Improvement Club. Oh my gosh, what a switch. That was genius. I was like, oh, that got me. I was like, oh my God. So this episode was really, really good. This episode was great. Mob, our sweet Kageyama Shigeo, like our sweet cinnamon bean. I feel for Mob because he is going through the ringer, going through puberty, and we need to talk about it in this episode. Oh my gosh. Shigeo Kageyama, also known as Mob, a second year in middle school. So that's the thing too. He's not even a third year. It's like Mob has got like all the odds stacked against him. He's not even a third year in middle school. He's not even at the top of the ladder in terms of being a middle schooler. He's like in the middle. Like, doesn't get away with stuff because he's a first year. Doesn't get to rule the roost because he's a third year. Nah, he's stuck in that like 7th grade. Ugh. And I don't know, that it's second year of middle school in Japan. In the US equivalent would be 7th grade. 7th and 8th grade is just a horrible time. It's the worst. And I think any of us that have ever been through that age of, because when you're like 13 and 14 around that time, I think when you're middle school, you're around 13 years old. It's just, puberty sucks. And I remember in junior high, it's the worst because it is around that time. They talk about all the different things. Like, you're starting to come into yourself. You're starting to like figure out if you like people. You're starting to get those kind of emotions, and like everybody around you is acting all stupid. And then you start to like, you're starting to develop, your body's starting to change. You're starting to get mood swings. Like, puberty sucks, and middle school is the worst because it's just like all of this stuff starting to change. And it's just, our poor boy Mob, like his hair is all, I like that when Mob's hair is like a little bit messier, he kind of looks a little bit like his brother. His brother's hair is like, and then poor Mob, his hair is like the perfect like shonen sports anime protagonist like cut. Mob's is like not even a perfect bowl cut. It's messy. It's like, poor boy. He's like, kicks off the most sensitive period in one's life. Yes, sensitive is a great word. Adolescence. Yep. And so it's like some hone their bodies playing sports. And there's Tsubomi, which is the girl he has a crush on. Some work hard on their studies. Some devote themselves to their hobbies. And we see the Telepathy Club just sitting there playing. I like that the Telepathy Club all have different like gaming systems. Like one has the DS. One has like the old school Game Boy, and one has like a PSP. Like they all have different systems. Some polish their talents. We get more of this girl with the camera. I feel like she's gonna be something in this series. The girl with the camera is gonna be a thing because she's in the OP pretty prominently, right? Some rebel. We have like, I love that we have like some rebel. We get like these guys that look like they're 40 and they're like middle schoolers, like with the black eye and everything. It's great. Anytime like a show wants to have delinquents in middle school and high school, they instantly look like 15 years older than they should be. And they have like the pompadour. And then some fall for the opposite sex and get the taste of bittersweet love, which we find out about the bittersweet love with Mob in this. The thing is, when we first see this like image of the couple walking hand in hand with the heart and everything, it's the taller guy and the girl. But then when we go back to Mob's vision of it, he's the shorter guy and she's like the taller, which it's like, that's the thing. Guys usually don't hit a growth spurt until later. I feel like girls mature a lot faster and quicker, and then guys catch up later. So poor Mob, he's just not at that. One of my best friends in high school, I remember like our freshman dance we went together, and he was like a foot shorter than me, and the photos are like he's here and I'm here, and it's just that awkward like 13 to 15-year-old phase that you just can't help. But poor Mob. All those youthful desires come together to form the amalgamation that is adolescence. Yep, it's a rough time, and Mob was spending that precious time working as an assistant at a psychic business for 300 yen an hour. So Mob is like, he's being the receptionist at old Reigen's, business, wasting away his youth working as this receptionist. Oh my God, just in case he's actually needed, right? Reigen wants him around in case an actual exorcism needs to take place. But meanwhile, I like that we juxtapose and transition from the innocence of youth and youthful adolescence and, slowly maturing to the reason is porn sites. Like that's the first words out of Reigen Arataka's mouth in this episode. I'm like, you sleazeball. Yeah, Reigen's first words, like we went to this blissful period of youth, and the first words out of his mouth are the reason is porn sites. I'm like, shouldn't it be the reasons are porn sites? But I'm not going to judge Reigen for his bad grammar. Could be the translation. And then this guy's like, porn sites. The clicking curse, right? The terrible one-click curse. Reigen is so animated, and like all the animation just goes bonkers on him. It's wonderful. This OP is great though. For the record, one of my favorite anime OPs now is Mob Psycho 100. It's just such a bop. It's such a jam. I have a feeling I'm gonna look forward to it every episode of this season. I'm gonna just be so excited by it. But yeah, we're gonna skip. I feel like the OP is evolving as we go, which would make sense with this show because the show's so like bonkers and weird. I feel like it's evolving, so it'll be cool to kind of see this as we go. But yeah, doubts about youth, the Telepathy Club appears. So man, what a bait and switch. This was so clever. I liked this episode a lot. But doubts about youth. Interesting. So yeah, Reigen is doing his best, and the music that was playing during this scene, the music that was playing during this scene in the Discord, the only soundtrack that has been talked about in the Discord for Mob Psycho has been this track that's playing, and it's Reigen's theme. It's so kind of has like a sleazy tone to it. I don't know how else to describe it, but that's the only soundtrack piece I know of yet. It was Reigen's theme, because everybody was like, oh, you like Reigen? Well, here's his theme song. And I'm like, and it's just fitting that it's playing in his actual shop, right? So I love that he's like, they use illegal 18 plus sites to make a curse on your shoulder and make you pay fees. But even curses nowadays are being digitized. And he's just like doing all the poses, like everything. Like he's such a showman. It's like, Reigen. And he's like, who the hell would believe that hogwash? And he's like, oh. He's like, if you don't move, I'll lift the curse now. And the guy's like, what the hell? And instead, Reigen's like doing a massage. He's like, your shoulders are stiff. Let me help you out. And the thing of it is, he is helping him, but it's just giving him a massage. There's no actual exorcism happening. I really would like to imagine that Reigen went to like masseuse classes, or was like a massage, like was going to be like a masseuse at some point, a massage therapist, and it just didn't work out, and then he realized he could make more money off the exorcisms. I'm still so curious to know about him meeting Mob. We get like little glimpses of it in this episode, but I'm curious to know like more context. But yeah, sorcery crush. I love that, just a little tickle thing where he's like, doo-doo-doo, and he's like elbowing, but he like goes back to tickle. God, it's great. But yeah, it's finished. And then just the sorcery crush, and then it's just like the big dramatic lightning and the lighting. Oh my God. One of Reigen's special moves where he relieves the stress from physical fatigue. Oh my God. And gets rid of stiff shoulders and back pain, and he's like all in the big. I feel like I need to dress up when I watch this show to like compete with Reigen. And then the I'm sorry, but the Rin Matsuoka like flip of the hair. Shut up. I cannot, you trash king. Nope. God. It's ridiculous. And the guy, he's like, I believe that I was able to lift the curse, but do your shoulders still feel heavy? And he's like, I'm sorry, I doubted you, I'm much better. And Mob, who knows it was just a massage, he's like, of course I'll let you come again. Mob, who's like, well, here's your the massage fee for the 40-minute course is 3,800 yen. And then I love that Reigen's like, you baka! Don't call it a massage fee, call it the curse dispelling fee. And Mob's just like, it's so cute. Mob has like the cutest little face. He's so unsuspecting. And Reigen's just the worst. Like, getting onto him. Come on. Oh my God. Your change is 200 yen, which is like literally more than Mob makes. So, God. He's like, oh, I'll have some, sure. And so he says, Mr. Reigen, you're getting better at massages. And he's like, well, yeah. I like that Reigen, even when he's being complimented by Mob, he's like, well, duh. Like, just saying, I've been trying various things to improve, like reading books on Seitei. Okay. But then he says, of course, it's only effective because of spiritual power. Of course, right? And the poster says limited time offer. If there are 3 evil spirits, the exorcism fee on one of them will be on the house. God. It's so bad. And then it's too hot. Yeah, the ball's too hot. And I love that Mob just like catches it with his telepathy. What a waste. And he's like, Master, I've been thinking. That he's like, oh, it's rare you never try to start a conversation. He's like, I can use a little ESP. I'm different from other people. So I came to discuss that with you and ended up becoming your student. So, okay, so how he became Reigen's student was that he realized he has telepathic powers. But I'm curious how he came to discuss it with Reigen. I'm curious how all this went down. I guess we're going to find out. At the time, I didn't have anyone else to talk to, so I'm grateful. So yeah, and I like, okay, so as Mob is like talking to him, like the ball is spinning faster, like the ball, like there's a little stress underneath the surface with Mob that's kind of like, we're at 40% till he explodes now, and we're only 2 episodes in, so what? But yeah, he's like, at the time, I didn't have anyone else to talk to, and you can just see the sweat pouring off of Reigen, because you teach me various things and you pay me. And he's like, where are we going with this? Is this really okay? And he's like, makes him eat it. That's what I've been thinking lately. And Mob looks really like scary there. But yeah, he's like, I came and talked to you because I didn't have anybody else to talk to. But now that I'm getting older and realizing like, do I need to be making friends? Is it weird that this middle school kid is like spending his afternoons with this grown-ass sham? but Mom's starting to realize this, right? And Reigen's like, well, am I not, is the pay too low? Did he finally find me out? That he's a sham? And he's like, oh, what do you mean? And he's like, how do I put this? Rather than waste my youth working part-time after school, I have a feeling there may or may not be other things I can only experience now. And Reigen's like, you're leaving me. No, not my gravy train. No. But Mob's not wrong. He's missing out on all these opportunities to like make friends and have his adolescence because he's working for this con artist. Like, Mob has every right to be like, I'd like to be in a club and make friends and like, you know, ask Tsubomi out and live my childhood out through my adolescence rather than work for you, you sham. And Reigen's like, oh, I love that Reigen's like, oh, like pushes the jaw up. That's great. He's like, oh, such is puberty, Mob-kun. It's like, is there something you want to do right now? And then he's like be in a band. I like the Kiss reference. Or dance, Charlie Chaplin, then to Kanai. Or hitchhike. He's like, no, I don't have anything in mind particularly. He's like, I can't really think of anything. He's like, listen, Mob. There's no need to rush into things. Oh my God. In my expert opinion, the Going Home Club is the absolute best. He's such a sham. He's like, I'm going to exploit this kid and screw him of his childhood because I need him to help my business. You can goof off the most. And that makes you a winner in my book. It's like, oh, keep on lazing around and make money from me. Oh man, dude. So then we get the Telepathy Club, which honestly, the Telepathy Club, I said in the reaction, it reminds me of Jujutsu Kaisen, because in Jujutsu Kaisen, they had like the occult club, right? And they were like getting booted out of the club because they didn't have enough members. And I was like, that's what this is. So did Akutami base the occult club off of this from Mob Psycho? Because this came out in like 2016, so that was way before Jujutsu Kaisen. So I'm like, did he base that off of this? That'd be kind of funny if he did. I'm like, I'm not going to judge him. It's just a funny coincidence that kind of a similar storyline happens in Jujutsu Kaisen that happens here. But yeah, the one guy looks like Komori off Haikyuu that has like the eyebrow. And so yeah, this one woman, Tomi-chan, she wants to make sure that the Telepathy Club doesn't get disbanded. But here's the thing. The whole time it was irking me, this episode, because just like Reigen, the Telepathy Club was really just using Mob. They didn't care about Mob. They didn't want to become his friends. Even Mob told Reigen, he's like, well, I'm just kind of here, but I don't really have a reason to it. They were just using him so they could keep their club. They didn't really care about becoming friends with him or anything like that. So when there's the bait and switch at the end where Mob decides to join the Body Improvement Club, it's kind of funny because these people were going to use him. And so Mob was just like, nah, I'm going to become a Body Mint Club member. And so it just subverts that, right? But I love the art style of this episode when they're like going after school and they're like marching through the hallways, and the style, they become like zombies, and then everybody's like, oh, everything's creepy, so no, and they're just exhausted by the end of it. Like, the art style is wonderful. And then it shows like Tomi-chan and her, like, it shows Tomi-chan, her face is like a pencil sketch, and it looks all very like organic and natural and drawn on, not like cell shaded or digital. It's wonderful. But I love that their running gets more desperate and their expressions get more desperate. I love the girls that are like, are there hot guys? Can there be hot guys? It's like, oh my God, it's great. And everybody's like, it's creepy, so no. The Telepathy Club is creepy, so no. And then they become zombies. I love that. Then they just go through all the random people's faces, and then it cuts to a toilet paper roll. It's creepy, so no. The humor of this show, it's bonkers, and I love it. So then the one guy that looks like Komori, he found somebody he knew from grade school, Mob, to come and join the club. And Mob's like, what am I doing here? What's happening? He's Shigeo Kageyama-kun of class 2-1. And Shigeo's like, well, he's basically right, I guess. And so Inukawa is his name. Inukawa is the one that looks like Komori. So we have Kiji Bayashi and Saruda and Tomi-chan. Kurata Tome. And so she tries to convince Mob to like become part of the club. And she's like, it's fate that led you here. And Mob's like, I don't know. And that's the thing. Mob is trying to come to terms with the fact that he wants to become members of a club. He wants to enjoy his youth. He wants to experience life. But he's not really sure that the Telepathy Club is for him. Because he like tells Tomi-chan, he's like, oh, that's my grandma's name. That's fun. But he doesn't seem interested in the Telepathy Club at all. Which is funny because I figured he would be. I figured he'd be all about the club. But he's really just joining it because it's something to do, and it seems familiar. And so we do get established that, I love just the water coming out of her nose, that Mob has had these telepathic powers from a young age. he's like, I have to go do an exorcism job. And they're like, exorcism? Like, what's that supposed to mean? And then he's like, this guy was sort of famous in grade school. He could bend spoons and make erasers move. So he's had these powers for a long time and has developed them. Interesting. In other words, he's an esper. And she's like, stop being weird and just join our club. Yeah, they just don't really care. And Mob's like, I don't know. And I love when he calls Reigen, and Reigen's like, leave! They can't use you, I'm using you. So it's great. And then Tomei-chan and him arguing. Wonderful. We're not a sports club, we're a telepathy club. It's great. Shut your mouth, you amateur. It's wonderful. And so I like that when he takes the phone away from her, Reigen is trying to talk Mob out of it. Mob's like, I think Senpai's about to cry, so I think I'll join after all. That Mob was going to join because he felt bad. He didn't want her to feel bad. So he's like, well, if I can help them, I'll join. And Reigen's like, don't be fooled. I love that Reigen is just the worst here. He's like, those are crocodile tears. And Mob's like, oh. He's like, bonds, memories, friendship. Like any of those things will disappear because the club is abolished. He's like, they're just using you. He's like, the things that are important in life, friendship, nakama, just because a club's abolished, do you think that's going to stop and destroy those bonds that they have? No. But instead, he says that they just don't want to lose their room or their budget. And their pointless after school time, judging from what their club sounds like. Yeah, they aren't doing much of anything. They're just goofing off. See it through, Mob. That shady club is going down because it's meant to go down. God, it's great. It's wonderful. And so poor Mob's like, what the hell? Like, just what do I do? He's like, if you understand, come to work. And Mob, all he's known is like helping Reigen. So he's like, well, I guess I'll go. And so they tell him to think about it. And he's like, you shouldn't procrastinate, Mob. And so then everybody watching them walk down the street. The funny thing about them walking down the street while they're in the disguise as girls is that half the women they pass have like really manly faces. So it's kind of funny that they're gawking at them. But yeah, Reigen's ever bold idea to sneak into an all-girls school is to dress like a girl. And Mob can get away with it, but Reigen is ridiculous. Like, the lipstick and the fake ponytail, like, the fact that, like, dude, Reigen was so unconcerned and so underprepared that he didn't even shave his legs. Them hairy-ass legs on display. And their disguises, the attached ponytail and then Mob having the braids. God, and then Reigen even put lipstick on. Oh, my God. I love this officer's like, stop. You need to stop. You do not need to go any further, you weirdo. And he calls him a pervert and tells Mob to get away. God, it's great. Oh my God. So yeah, so we have our boy Mob sneaking in. These girls on the rooftop were terrifying. The original set of girls that bully Mob, they're awful. They were so mean and like crass. I was like, what is happening? Like, we're gonna let some twerp like you lecture us. And poor Mob's like, I'm just trying to help exorcise a ghost. Poor Mob, like he's already nervous around girls and like struggling with admitting to Tsubomi-chan that he likes her, and then these girls just get all up in his business. It's like, poor Mob. And he's like, oh. And so then these other two girls appear, and they basically tell him that there's been weird noises. Like, at first I was like, well, that could be anything, but then they said the floating bra, and I'm like, oh no, that's a ghost. But Mob, you know, I like that Mob manages to like sniff out the ghost, and he's very serious, and they're like, oh. Mob's like super serious on the job, which is great. And then he manages to narrow down and trap the ghost in the high school, in the gymnasium. God. And then I thought it was cool that the ghost ends up being like a guy that was just like this perverted weird guy that was just like peeping, like a peeping Tom on all these girls at this all-girls school. Like that ends up being the giant ghost. And Mob just blows right through it, right? It's kind of crazy. I love the animation of the ghost though. Like it's got like the moon crater cheese face. Psychic brat. And then, yeah, the scent ghoul. The scent ghoul is kind of weird, though, because it's like, it suggests he's like sitting there like smelling their stuff in there, which is kind of disturbing. But God, the animation, like this whole episode has been so minimalist, and then they pull out the stops in the last minute for the budget to just have it be wonderful. God, it's great. Oh, the girls are like holding the skirt down and stuff, and all the smoke and everything's billowing, and Mob just holds out the one hand. It's great. And he's like, I underestimated the psychic. So yeah. And if I don't take a hostage, he'll erase me. And he goes to grab the one girl, but Mob jumps in the way. It's great. And just poofs him out of existence. And then as soon as he like says it's over, I love that all the girls have surrounded them. They're like, do you want to go home together today? How'd you do that? Wow. What class is she in? So it's like, they're all surrounding him and he's like, oh God, like he's all blushy. And they're like, good for you. Listen to him cheer. You were pretty reliable after all. And he's like, damn it. Yeah, because poor Mob's like, I'm in front of all these girls and I finally get to be the hero and I can't tell them because it'll reveal like what a sleaze I am. It's like, our poor Mob cannot catch a break. And so that's why the spirit right above him talks about being a loser and thought he'd finally found happiness like chasing the girls. You seem to be similar to me. He's like, similar? So I wonder, and the ghost relates it to the fact that he was nervous around girls, but I wonder if like Mob like exploding is going to have something to do with the ghost as well. And he said, are you living each day to the fullest? And Mob can't answer that question. He like sits in the bath and everything, thinking about what to say. And I like that he seems a little disturbed. His brother's like, hey, are you okay? And he's like, nah, I'm fine. And so I'm glad the brother at least is concerned and checks up on him. That's good. But yeah, so he goes up there to the club and the club president, like the school council president is there to get him to sign. And he's like, I was going to show this room to the body improvement club. And they're like the most stereotypical, like one has like the space dandy look. The other have the mutton chops. One looks like Connie from Attack on Titan. And the other guy has the yellow mohawk. It's great. But yeah, there's that. And then I love the club president's like, are you insane? He's like, what grade are you in? And he's like, I'm a second year. He's like, do you have any experience in the other clubs? And he's like, no. He's like, do you have a close friend in the Telepathy Club? And he's like, I have an acquaintance. He's like, did you go to cram school? No. Did you study? Not really. Do you have any hobbies? Do you have anything you want to do? If you let them goad you into joining despite having no interest at all, then what exactly will you gain from it? So yeah, he's like, don't just join this telepathy club because you think you have to. You don't have to. He's like, what do you really want to do? And Mob's like, Mob is confronted with this idea of what do I want to do? Do I have anything that I want to do? Does everyone else have something? So it's kind of crazy. He's like a blank slate. He's like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. Is everybody else in the same boat or do they have all it figured out? Something enjoyable, something I'm envious of. What are they enjoying? Clubs, hobbies, and studying? Hanging out with girls must be fun. Yeah, so he's just like slowly melting and dissolving in that moment. Oh, poor Mob. And we go into his memories. He's like, I did have a dream. I wanted to confess my feelings to my first love, Tsubomi-chan, and hold hands while walking home together. And this time we see him as the couple with her, right? But it's not meant to be. And I love that we say, he's like, look, Tsubomi-chan. He's like, when you make frogs float, they start swimming. And I'm like, this girl, Mob, you can do so much better. Because like when they were kids, it's like the cute frog and she's all excited about it. But then like, and he uses his powers to make the ball squish, to make the bar squish and everything. Like he does everything and she really likes him and he's all impressed by it. I'm like, and he says, I'm only showing you, Tsubomi-chan. Like he only did this for her because he liked her. And I'm like, you're making the dog levitate. That's cool. He's like, I'm only showing you. And then she goes, I'm bored of that. I'm like, Mob, get rid of her. She ain't nothing. She is no good. If she's bored by a floating golden retriever, get her out of here. She does not need to be worth your time, son. I feel like the parent that's like, if he brought her home, I'd be like, Mob's too good for you. Like, but that's so sad because he's like, oh, And he's just so sad by it. I'm like, oh my God. And then he tries to like keep up, but she falls for like the jock. And then he can't measure up. If I can change anything by joining a club, then I'll join. And I love that he's so serious. He has like the stern, super cool look on his face. I was like, oh, Mob. And they're like, yes. And he's like, thank you for having me. Body Improvement Club. Best switch. And the club president's like, not a bad choice. Like, he has a little sweat drop. And then I love that the body club, they're like, what? And they're like, oh, good to have you. That's the thing. I'm glad they like are happy Mom's part of their club. So I'm like, is that going to be a thing? Is Mom going to be part of the body improvement club? I'm so excited by this, but I love that they're just like, yeah, welcome, Mom. I'm like, oh my God, it's so cute. It's so cute. And he's like, thank you. Like, oh my God. And progression towards Mob's explosion, 40%. I will join the body improvement club. Oh my God, Kageyama Shigeo. Oh, so we're already at 40%. I'm like, oh shit. Oh no. This was such a good episode. This was great. But yeah, poor Mob. Mob's dream of like getting the girl, even despite the fact he has these awesome powers, is so sad. I'm like, are you joking? Can't believe it. But yeah. This episode was absolutely wonderful. I freaking loved it. I loved it so much. It was definitely like just getting a little bit more into Mob's psyche, literally, and seeing that he's just this adolescent kid that he wants to get the girl and he wants to like have friends. But I like that in the end, Mob chose not because those other people convinced him, but because it's something he wants to do for himself. And I was like, yeah, those people were just using him to get the club signatures so they could keep the room. But I'm glad that Mob chose a decision that made sense to him and was something that he could want. I appreciate that a lot. So this episode was great. Not enough Reigen Arataka, but we got just enough, right? Mob is precious, must be protected, and Reigen is just the best at being the worst. So I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. I'm curious to know if we'll see these characters again, any of them. If we're going to get Mob in the Body Improvement Club, I'm excited about it. But I please no spoilers, but I hope you all enjoyed this reaction and discussion, and I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more Mob Psycho 100. Bye.